The last day of the Entrepreneurship Development in Higher Education's second annual Lekgotla. The three-day event is a way of sharing best practice and fostering collaboration for the benefit of South African youth and the economy. Tope Toogun from Clarity Education Limited is one of the speakers, and he joins me now. Thank you so much for coming through, Mr. Toogun. Let's just talk about the situation in as far as entrepreneurship in South Africa is concerned. Obviously, in 2016, you were in the country delivering a lecture in honor of Richard Maponya, and you were sharing some interesting figures in terms of the levels of entrepreneurship in South Africa. We have the necessity, but it doesn't seem that we necessarily get to the level of having the inventiveness to deal with that necessity. Is that a fair assessment?
It's a fair assessment, and I think the challenge that we face is that we are not aligning resources properly. We've got all the institutions that should address this issue, but there is no alignment between their activities. So for us, the starting point is to have a roadmap, and that should bring all these agencies into collaboration.
This is anecdotal, of course, but I mean, you know, whenever I travel the continent, from time to time, you come across someone who says, you South Africans are not enterprising enough, you're not entrepreneurial enough. You sit and you wait for a job to be created for you, and people say, you know, if we had half the opportunities that that you have in South Africa, you would be seeing what we would be doing in terms of small and medium enterprises that would be starting up. Is that a common sentiment from your experience, and is it founded in some level of reality?
It's common to a certain extent, and it's something we're still puzzling over. In 2016, as you rightly mentioned, during the Dr. Richard Maponya lecture, I actually had cause to ask that what was it in the water that people like Dr. Richard Maponya were drinking in those days that is no longer available today, because then there was no support, but they still overcame all the challenges to build a fortune. Today there is significant support, but people don't seem to be getting it right. So something has gone wrong over the years that needs to be corrected.
So is it, you know, when you think about what it is that has gone wrong, does it include issues to do with education? For instance, the program that you are here for this time around has to do with entrepreneurship development through the higher education system.
Education plays a part, but the most crucial bit about the part education plays is where do we then locate what we want to do. So we are not going to train entrepreneurs through the traditional methods of classroom teaching. Those things don't work. The key issue that we need to address is a mindset shift. When you find people who are not able to spot opportunities, who are not able to sort of make a go of it, it's a mindset challenge, and that's what we need to train them on, to develop that capability or to recognize what it is they have and what they can do with it.
And you make a distinction between you know, self-employment and entrepreneurship, and you say, you know, what we've got to thrive for is entrepreneurship that actually contributes to the growth in the economy. Why is that more important than someone deciding that I'm unemployed? South Africa sits with an unemployment rate of upwards of 27%. Hey, let me do something to survive.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with people doing things to survive, but we have to focus the resources of the state on supporting the kind of individuals who can then go on to create jobs. So necessity-driven entrepreneurship is the kind where somebody doesn't have a job and he goes look for something to do. What we need are opportunity-driven entrepreneurs, people who spot opportunities and can marshal the resources and put everything they have behind. When I say resources, I don't necessarily mean financial. They can go after that thing. We often find that it's those kind of people who are able to grow businesses, and those businesses employ people. The reason it's important is that when you look at the rates of unemployment and when you look at where people are being employed, you find that a sizable majority are being employed by small and medium-sized companies in any economy, 60 to 70%. But that means we have to keep expanding the number of SMEs in the system who can then grow to start providing employment.
So talk to me as a final point about this issue of disruptors. You've argued very strongly, and I think few people would disagree with you that we need disruptors in every sector in society. If you are someone who is in South Africa with the kind of economy we have that is described as the most advanced on the African continent, and with big players in the system, and sort of from time to time you find a situation where it seems the big industry, well-established players, multinationals are preferred for procurement of various goods and services. Where does the disruption come in? Which way should the disruptors, potential disruptors of South Africa be looking?
Technology. Globally, technology is one way where it's one area where disruption becomes important, but also to speak to the issue of procurement. There's quite a lot of preferential procurement going towards the black community, SMEs, and one challenge where I think we need some form of disruption as well is in terms of candidate quality for the supplier networks of major organizations. All the major organizations are struggling to find credible and qualified black candidates for them to start procuring from.